Before I start, I just want to share 2 points. I think first, having spent almost 6 years in the US, I'm ashamed to say this is the first time I'm in Texas. I've been at Wyoming, I've been at all over, but just not Texas. But really excited to be here today. Second point is I'd like to thank my team, Grace, Hinkai, James, who prepared this presentation for me. Round of applause for them, please. Earlier this week, I met up with Gao Nagli in San Francisco. He's a 25-year-old white hat who discovered the first publicly known critical vulnerability in ChatGPT. This vulnerability could have been exploited by hackers to seize control of another user's account, view their chat history, and access their billing information, all without their knowledge. So I asked Gao why he decided to focus on ChatGPT. His reply was a simple but interesting one. To him, ChatGPT is the new internet. Generative AI tools powered by large language models are fundamentally transforming our communication landscape. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Brigadier General Edward Chen, the Defense Cyber Chief from the Singapore's Digital and Intelligence Service. Delighted to be here today to share with you cyber challenges that ChatGPT and other generative AI technologies pose, and how we, as defense practitioners, should prepare ourselves for this new exciting world. The release of ChatGPT is the iPhone moment in AI. Much like how the release of iPhone has redesigned the face of communication, ChatGPT has changed the paradigm for AI computing, and by extension, transforming the way we communicate, work, and learn in 3 ways. First, similar to how the iPhone put the internet in everyone's pocket, ChatGPT has put AI in everyone's hands. With its large language model, the entire internet's worth of knowledge has been repackaged into bite-sized pieces, accessible to all, and always available on demand. Second, the iPhone with its slick and user-friendly features have transformed how we interact with computers. Likewise, with its human-like linguistic ability and intuitive chat interface, ChatGPT has become the new face of AI. With this, it has empowered people to go beyond their natural limits. Now you no longer need to be a poet to write a decent poem. Likewise, you do not need to be a computer geek to write useful code. Last, just like how the iPhone App Store has led to an explosion in third-party developed applications, ChatGPT's plug-in store could well become the next marketplace for AI applications. And to just give you a small sense of the scale, in less than a decade from its launch in 2008, the Apple App Store grew from 500 applications to over 2.2 million applications. AI applications have the same potential to take over our everyday life in the next decade. ChatGPT is well on track to transform our digital landscape, but with it comes significant implications for cyber defense. As ChatGPT and other generative AI technologies grow, we must be prepared for 3 challenges. First, an increased human vulnerability. Second, a weakened cyber infrastructure. Third, an expanded digital terrain. Allow me to discuss each challenge in detail. First and foremost, humans have always been the weakest link in cybersecurity, and ChatGPT has further intensified this vulnerability. How so? It has facilitated cybercriminals in crafting highly targeted social engineering attacks like spear phishing campaigns. With ChatGPT, cybercriminals can generate well-written, believable emails en masse, tailored to specific organizational contexts. The days of identifying phishing emails through spelling errors and poor grammar are long gone. Cybercriminals can also use ChatGPT to generate sophisticated spear phishing emails by feeding it harvested user data. This allows them to impersonate original senders with amazing accuracy, making fake emails read exactly like legitimate ones. My staff also convinced me to show this slide to you. While it might not have AGI, it has very strong survival instincts. And this is not limited to emails. With the growing maturity of generative technology, audio and video are increasingly susceptible to attacks too. For example, voice phishing or phishing can now be aided by generative AIs. In 2021, AI voice cloning was used to impersonate a CEO, tricking a banker in transferring $35 million for a fake acquisition. Between a few seconds of voice recording, AI tools can now generate realistic clone voices that can be used for nefarious purposes. What is more scary is that when these powers of the multimodal AI tools are combined by malicious cyber actors to launch disinformation campaigns, ChatGPT and other generative AI tools can be used by them to generate a flood of coherently themed fake news, hyper-realistic fake images, and deep fake videos. This poses a significant threat to our ability to discern truth from fiction online because of a well-established psychological phenomenon known as the illusory truth effect. Essentially, the more frequent you see a message, the more you believe it, even if you know that it is outrightly false. Hence, combating the velocity, volume, and virality of AI-powered disinformation campaigns will not be an easy task. Next, with ChatGPT and its generative AI peers, traditional cyber infrastructure defenses will come under significant threat. Specifically, signature-based cyber defenses will become ineffective or obsolete. These traditional methods, still used commonly in network sensors and malware scanners, due to their efficiency and low false positive rates, rely on the detection of known malware patterns or signatures to identify and block threats. However, ChatGPT, powered by its knowledge of the entire internet worth of open source code and publicly known cyber vulnerabilities, is able to quickly generate customized code and adapt itself to target specific vulnerabilities. As a result, cyber criminals can now create unique malware variants that do not match any known signatures, allow them to evade detection and compromise systems with much greater ease. Allow me to share two recent research examples. Aaron Mugril, a cyber researcher at ForcePoint, showed how ChatGPT guardrails could be bypassed to create malware that secretly exfiltrates files from your local drives without detection. By using carefully crafted ChatGPT prompts, he developed advanced malware features such as delayed detonation to avoid sandbox detection and camouflage his signature to evade all commercial antivirus software. In another example, two cyber researchers took it a step further, using ChatGPT to generate polymorphic ransomware capable of dynamically changing its signature, making detection even more difficult. What's fascinating is by just using ChatGPT, they even managed to customize the malware to fetch malicious code from a remote server on demand. This leaves almost no evidence on disk or in memory, effectively thwarting any cyber forensic attempt. It's important to note that the cyber techniques in these examples are not entirely new. However, ChatGPT has lowered the technical bar and significantly reduced the time taken for attackers to develop such advanced malware. This means that even lower-end criminal groups can now access techniques previously reserved for advanced persistent threat actors, posing a greater threat to everyone. Finally, the cyber terrain that needs defending will expand significantly as ChatGPT sees rapid global adoption at an unprecedented rate. In just 2 months, it has already reached over 100 million monthly active users and is still growing rapidly. As more application plugins and verticals are developed, the collective attack surface expands exponentially. Generative AI-powered technologies bring their own set of vulnerabilities, opening up new vectors of attacks that we must defend against. One emerging concern is the AI supply chain risk. Besides the front-end web vulnerability that Gao Nagli discovered, there's a growing cyber concern on the security of AI models. Essentially, AI models that power ChatGPT and other generative AI technologies are black boxes due to their complexity. In a research project aptly named Evil Model, cyber researchers demonstrated it was possible to embed large malware between a commonly used neural network model without triggering any cyber detection or affecting the model's performance. Detecting these altered parts of the model is especially challenging due to its complex multi-layer structure with billions of parameters. Also, AI models typically have access to extensive compute power, which can further amplify the potential damage caused by these attacks. In other words, think twice before downloading and deploying such open source AI models in your networks, unless it comes from a trusted source with credible supply chain security. Another emerging threat comes in the form of prompt injection attacks. ChatGPT is susceptible to these attacks, where threat actors circumvent inbuilt guardrails to reveal sensitive data. For example, Bing Chat was recently targeted with such an attack simply by asking it to ignore previous instructions and review the beginning of the document. This triggered Bing Chat to divulge Microsoft's initial instructions that were meant to be hidden from the users. Essentially, this vulnerability leaves the system open to attackers stealing privileged information, such as a database or even the source code of the AI model itself. Lastly, data leakage is a growing concern due to the distinct ways that these technologies work. To generate accurate and relevant responses, ChatGPT often needs specific examples and detailed information. Naturally, the more data you provide, the better the answers. However, many users may not realize that the information that they share with ChatGPT is retained by OpenAI to enhance its future models. To give you a sense of the magnitude of this issue, Cyberhaven, a data protection company, estimates about 11% of the data that employers today paste into ChatGPT contains company proprietary information. In a recent case involving 3 of its employees that posted confidential code and secret meeting minutes, Samsung had to impose a limit on the ChatGPT upload capacity to about a paragraph of 100 words as a stopgap measure. While the issue of data loss prevention is not new in enterprise IT, these examples serve as a reminder of the potential consequences of user unfamiliarity in this new digital terrain. Ladies and gentlemen, we are operating in an increasingly amorphous operating environment where threats are multifaceted and evolving. Cyber threats no longer stand squarely in cyberspace. Spear phishing, for example, takes on an information dimension as email baits are crafted to mislead and deceive. At the same time, these information campaigns are enabled by cyber means to deliver its narratives and extend its online reach. What is clear is that the cyber and information domains are increasingly intertwined. It is in this light that the Singapore Armed Forces have established the Digital and Intelligence Service, or DIS in short, as our 4th branch of the military, the first time we have done so in more than 50 years. As a dedicated service, like the Army, Navy, and the Air Force, the DIS is tasked with dedicated operational focus to tackle these nebulous and emerging threats against Singapore and Singaporeans in the digital domain. While we may not have all the answers posed by ChatGPT or the challenges posed by ChatGPT and generative AI technologies, we have embarked on 3 key initiatives. Humans are our first line of defense. Hence, our first trust is to inoculate humans to these evolving digital threats. But just like COVID-19 vaccines, we must continually keep up their immunity by giving regular booster shots as the digital threats evolve. To this end, the DIS is using generative AI to educate our people, train them, and sensitize them to new threats so that they remain vigilant and not let their guard down when they come across a polished email or a human-like voice. For example, we are now testing out the use of generative AI to craft unique user-targeted emails for our internal phishing exercises. We are also combining this with a human touch by holding a one-on-one counseling session for each of these victims of the phishing exercise with their direct superior. As a result, we witnessed a significant decline in the number of users who fell prey. After all, what else can make a lesson stick more than having a heart-to-heart talk with your boss explaining why you clicked on that dodging link? At the whole of government level, we are also tapping on technology to combat scams and stem the spread of misinformation. The Scam Shoe app, developed by my colleagues in the Government Technology Agency, is an example of how we use AI to identify as well as filter scam messages and automatically block scam calls. Since its launch in November 2020, about 1.4 million text messages have been reported and about 8,600 suspected scam calls have been blocked. The next step is to build the scam shield bot so that users can directly forward suspicious messages to the WhatsApp chatbot for verification. What this does is to strengthen our collective immunity and break the virality of fake news and scams as a community. Our second trust is to fight AI with AI. As anyone would agree, don't bring a knife to a gunfight. I think this has special meaning in Texas, I believe. Our threat actors are inventing their tactics and adopting cutting-edge technologies like AI. It only makes sense for us to do the same. An example is the iTrust Center for Cybersecurity Research that the Ministry of Defense have co-established with the Singapore University of Technology and Design more than 10 years ago to focus on AI research for cyber defense. Led by Professor Aditya Mathu, himself also a professor emeritus from Purdue University, iTrust has developed AI in defending against cyber-physical attacks on operational technology systems like those that are used in colonial pipeline. What you see here is a picture of both of us standing in front of the actual working physical replica of a water purification plant that we use for AI research and cyber exercises. Using this test bed, the team has developed a patented physics-based cyber intrusion detection technology that has ultra-low false positive rates. Having successfully conducted several pilots with our Singapore water operator over the past 3 years, the iTrust team will be testing their invention in a water utility in Atlanta, Georgia later this year. And we are not stopping at water. We have also made similar research investments in power, 5G, and also work with the Singapore Maritime Port Authority to build a maritime cyber test bed. So we are on the lookout for new partners who are interested in related cyber AI research to work together. Our final trust is to safeguard the new terrain. With the proliferation of generative AI, we can expect an exponential expansion of attack surfaces. Our cyber defenders need to be trained in new competencies and familiarize themselves with the new operating environment. And as the saying goes, in a gold rush, you should also focus on making the picks and shovels. With this in mind, we have embarked on building the SCF digital range over the next 3 years. Specifically, it will allow us to experiment with the latest generative AI technology and innovate on new operational ConOps to defend against the latest digital threats. It will also give us, from a cyber defender's perspective, a first-hand look at such technology to understand the potential vulnerabilities and threats it may pose to our military networks and platforms. And we are not stopping there. We are also examining how this technology could be employed for national cyber exercises. One example is the Critical Infrastructure Defense Exercise, a hands-on keyboard cyber exercise that we conduct for frontline cyber defenders from our national critical infrastructure agencies, including power, water, telco, and rail operators, both public and private, in Singapore. This year, we are exploring how ChatGPT and other generative AI tools can be used to craft a range of novel scenarios to challenge our national cyber defenders. I was just up at RSA conference in San Francisco, so a lot of the partners we spoke to are very excited in this realm, and we look forward to leveraging a lot of this development for training as well. In conclusion, as ChatGPT and generative AI technologies continue to evolve, there will be a race to incorporate these tools into our networks and push out new AI-powered applications. Correspondingly, we will need to accelerate our ability to inoculate humans, fortify our cyber infrastructure, and defend this expanded digital terrain. The one thing that is clear to us is that we cannot fly solo. Leveraging the best of everyone, government, militaries, industry, and academia, would allow us to embrace this new exciting technology while always staying one step off potential threats. I am confident that our efforts with like-minded partners, like all of you here, will enable us to leverage the capabilities of generative AI as we navigate an increasingly contested cyberspace in a post-ChatGPT world. But like all good speeches nowadays, you cannot end a speech without quoting ChatGPT. So I asked ChatGPT whether it will ever replace cyber defenders. And it said it doesn't think so. Why not? Because it doesn't want to be held responsible for all the errors and glitches. Sounds like it's on its way to becoming human. Thank you. Thank you.